Hello, and welcome to Toastmasters in the Community. I'm your host, Fran Okeson. With me today is Rachel Weiss, who's usually behind one of the cameras, but today we had to bring her out because she's going to talk about something very interesting to our home audience and to us in the studio. But in the beginning, I'm not on my speech yet. I have something that I have to read, and it came to my attention recently that sometimes a speech evaluator needs to think differently about what goes into a good evaluation. I would advise all speech evaluators to talk to the speaker before the meeting to briefly discuss where the speaker is going with that particular speech. Then, following the questions in the speaker's manual, the speaker will get a better picture of where he or she can improve in the next speech. All assumptions should be left at the door so there will be no misconceptions on either side. Keeping that in motion. I mentioned last month that I was going to start offering people in the community who are part of organizations that are putting on things in the community. I would let them know what's going on so maybe they could get more people to attend their functions. And people from the Universal Temple of the Arts have been on the show many, many years ago. We're in the middle of our 14th year. But they sent me something last week, and I decided to start off with them. So let me just read this, and if you need more information, our show is on. It will be on the next 2 Saturdays, or you can email me. My information is at the end of the credits at the end, and I can give you further information. The Universal Temple of the Arts is having a Staten Island Jazz Festival on Saturday, October 20th, 2018, from 2 to 7 p.m. at Snug Harbor Cultural Center Music Hall at 1000 Richmond Terrace, Staten Island, right down near Snug Harbor. Tickets are on sale now, and there is a phone number, and it's 718-425-3504. But if you email me, I can send it. And as you see, I learned something that I didn't know last week. So we're ready to go. See, I'm trying to do what you're doing with the evaluations and improve on them. Okay, so we're going to start with my beginning speech. I usually do this so I can critique everybody else's speech. So anyway, my speech. Let's see. Fran Okeson is doing speech number 1 from the Speaking to Inform Advanced Manual. Yes, we do have 6 minutes, all except Rachel. And Linda Isaacs is my evaluator. She's a distinguished Toastmaster. And my title is What to Do When You Have Gas. And I must tell you that my son gave me this title. Mine was a little bit different. So, fellow Toastmasters, what to do when you have gas. I know where a lot of minds have gone, and that's why the title was a little bit ambiguous, because it wasn't going there anyway. My son's friend had broken up his house and asked if he could put his household things into our garage for storage for a while. And therefore, the back of the garage was holding things, but his friend's belongings were in front of that. And we knew we had an old freezer way in the back of the garage, and there it stayed for several years. Well, his friend came and emptied the garage, and my son said, "Now can we get rid of that old freezer?" Okay, I said, sure. We haven't used it in 30, 40 years maybe. So he said, well, we have to see how to dispose of it. So I went on Google. I do love Google. And they told us what, and I just thought I'd tell you. They tell you to go to 311 in New York. I don't know what your number is over there. Is it something different in Jersey?
Maybe.
Yeah, it might be. It wouldn't be the New York. So I got in and I said, how do you dispose of a freezer? And the information was, to remove a refrigerator from the home. No. I want to get rid of a freezer. Fine. So I called, I asked to speak to a consultant. And a man got on the phone and I said, I have an old freezer and I know we can't just put it out for the sanitation to take, but you're referring to a refrigerator. He said, they're the same thing. I figured, well, there are things I put in my freezer that I wouldn't put in my refrigerator. So I said, can you tell me what to do? He said, very simple. So I got my pen, sure. Well, what you do, I'll just give you just a quick scenario. First of all, if it's a top freezer, you have to take the top off. So that was my son's job. I make the calls, he does the dirty work. Then you have to bring it out the night before the pickup for recycling. Our recycling days are Friday. So he pulled it out of the garage on a Wednesday, got it down to the end of the driveway, took the top off, and then we were told, then you have to, you have to roll it out the night after, between 4 and 5 o'clock at night, the night before. So Thursday night he went out, pushed it out into the curb, you had to put the back of the freezer facing the street. And you had to, then they would come, they would take the Freon out of the freezer, and then they would put a sticker, I think it was a red sticker, on the end of the freezer, so when the sanitation truck came around with recycling, they would know that that was properly emptied of the Freon. So I started to look around a little bit. When Google, I get very interested in Google. And it didn't really give me all the information I wanted, because, and I even tried last night, I wanted to see, fine, you've taken the Freon out of my freezer, and they probably have it in an apparatus. What do they do with that when they go? And I got on sanitation, I got on the 311, I couldn't get any satisfaction whatsoever. But I figured if you have a freezer or a refrigerator or an air conditioner or any of these things that have Freon gas, you can look it up and see if they'll tell you any more than they told me. But it was a funny thing, because I'm wondering, now you're pretty scientific, Rachel, and I should have asked you earlier, I didn't want to ruin my speech title, but after the show, if you know where it goes from there, if they have it in an apparatus, they take it someplace and they put it someplace, does it eventually then go back into the air? Then why are we fooling around taking it out of the freezer to start with? So if you know that, because you seem to know 1,000,001 things more than I do, but I'm very, very interested. But folks, there are so many things on Google about how to dispose of everything. Like one day Peter had a whipper and it was broken and he put it out, and then he had vegetation from the yard, he had that out, and I happened to look out to see if the garbage had been taken, and the whipper was taken, but the garbage stayed there, and the garbage truck had gone down the street. So I went into Peter and I said, you know, somebody stole the whipper. He said, no, that was the recycling. I didn't realize, because I don't do garbage. It's nice when you get to be my age and you don't do those things. It's nice having a grown son at home who does. But anyway, it's just a short speech. I just figured I would give you something to think about, and now you know how to get rid of anything of yours that has Freon or other gases that shouldn't be let out in the air. And I thank you very much, and I thought that was interesting. I like to get lost in that. Do you know where it goes eventually? Not here, but
it goes to a reclamation center, and they clean out the Freon, because in there is a lot of gunk and garbage, because it's been cycling for a while, and it gets cleaned up so it can be reused.
Oh, so we could be getting the same gas that we gave away, and it could be coming back in some new freezer.
Right.
Okay.
Just like oil today. Oil from the gasoline engine gets reclamated, gets cleaned up, and then they
I knew if anybody would know it, you would know
add
it.
chemicals to it and gets reused again.
Oh, okay, I guess there's a reason for these things. All right, our second speaker is Sue. Hello, we should put a chair there so when we start talking, the person can sit. Sue Brooks is a distinguished Toastmaster 2, and you're working on the Pathways program, the new Pathways. All right, you're working on Level 1, Evaluation and Feedback, your second speech. You have 6 minutes. Rachel is your evaluator, and your title is One of a Kind, Part 2. Let's all welcome Sue Brooks.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, studio audience, and our friends at home. One of a kind. You would think that I would be talking about my husband at our wedding. Peter, could you please put up the photo of me and my husband Ken at our wedding? There you have it. Me and my husband Ken at our wedding back in 1986. Take a note of that gown. I made it. It's one of a kind. Thank you, Peter. Ladies and gentlemen, I made that gown. And although my husband is one of a kind, the dress is one of a kind since I created it. You know that you can customize your gown in many different ways. You pick out the pattern. You pick out the fabric, the lace, the trim, and I even created and customized the veil. In order to get an accurate fitting, I thought it would be appropriate to first construct the garment out of muslin. Muslin is a fabric such as this shirt has been created from. It's inexpensive and this tan color and is very easy to work with. Creating the dummy out of muslin was a great idea, so I could do the fitting, make any adjustments, and make sure the garment fit correctly before I went with scissors to the fabric on the real material. I had a great time putting it together. I knew the date of the wedding, and I knew the garment had to be completed before the wedding. So just like any project management you would have to do in your work or at your home, you need to backdate. I have the end date of April 19th, and then I had months to take care of the creation of the garment. Hopefully, things go well and according to schedule, but occasionally things do not. And I learned a few things along the way. Although I allowed myself plenty of time to create this beautiful garment, I had a couple of obstacles. Number one, let me show you. It is tissue paper. Tissue paper is very thin, and I had a cat in a studio apartment that's one room in New York. Thin tissue paper. Cats love to attack it with their claws. What was I supposed to do? After I pressed the tissue paper and made sure the fabric was all pressed and beautiful and was laying it out, the cat would run in. So I thought, I could stick the cat in the bathroom for the time. So I placed the cat in the bathroom, closed the door, and he was okay. He just crawled into the sink. So I went on my way with cutting out the fabric and placing it down and stitching everything up. In my vision, I thought this beautiful one-of-a-kind garment would have beautiful lace and beautiful trim, hand-stitched all along the edges. Well, guess what? I kind of ran out of a little time towards the end, and I thought, well, what am I going to do? My friend said, oh, just give it to me. I'll just run it through the machine. So she took my garment and she took the lace and she just ran it through the machine, and it was beautiful. Nobody cared that the garment wasn't hand-stitched with the little lace and all. All in all, I think it was a very good lesson, and it enabled me to come up with creative solutions when putting together future garments. Know how fabric handles. Know that you might need a little extra time if you're going to be doing some handwork. Realizing that even if you build in plenty of time, maybe increasing some time or deciding, well, this particular part of the garment isn't as critical. So 2 lessons learned: deal with pets that you might have in your home, and remember backdating, and remember to build in plenty of extra time when you're going to create your garment that's one of a kind. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Sue. I think I enjoyed this time better than last time. She put more into it.
She integrated a lot of the feedback that she got
I noticed
from the
that.
evaluation.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Did very well.
Yeah, and your evaluation of her last time really set this up.
Yes.
Very, very nice. Good. Because I had said, where's the gown? So this she went a little further on that. Okay. Our next speaker is John Marizio, DTM 3, who will be a DTM 4 as soon as I get time to go through all our paperwork and file it, because I had to call Colorado and they said, yes, she had 4 district offices. So that's what we're planning. Maybe she'll get it one of these days. All right. Joan, is she there? Oh.
Yes, she is.
I thought since I didn't introduce her right away, she decided to go sit down again.
I apologize.
Okay. John's doing
bad again.
speech number 2 from the Special Occasions Advanced Manual. Speak and phrase is the topic. We all have 6 minutes except for our friend over here. Paul Paradise is your evaluator, and your title is A+ for volunteers. Let's all welcome Joan Marizio.
A+ for volunteers, 5 stars. A bonus paycheck at the end of the year after all that volunteering. Whatever you can do, keep those volunteers, because they keep the budget within the system. What's she talking about? Well, we're talking about volunteer fire departments. I lived in Long Island for a while, and there was a volunteer fire department. And these guys were given blue lights to put in the front of their windshield, on top of their dashboard, to let people know, get out of my way, it may be your house that's on fire. please move over to the right. Treat us like the police department or anybody else. But anyway, it worked for us. My house never caught fire in the 5 years we were there. So thank you, God, in more ways than one. Then you say, well, what else is there to praise? There's the auxiliary police department. And of course, they don't do exactly what the police department does, but they do a lot that's behind the scenes that is never seen. So we have to be thankful for them. You see, all right, people usually think of volunteering as, I have nothing to do this Thanksgiving. I think I'll go to the local church or the shelter or some other place that needs me, and I will help them prepare food and give food out to the people that are homeless or need a hand or need a meal. And that's what they'll do. They'll volunteer their time, and maybe after everything's over and the food is half gone and half cold and whatever, maybe then they'll get to eat their own meal. But I admire people like that. And you say, all right, well, what else could there possibly be? There are so many people that volunteer so much for our New York State. Many volunteer groups. There's political campaign people. They can't afford to pay all these people to go from door to door and get your views on how you feel they should change their ways and maybe capture your vote that way. So they have people going from door to door. I remember a lady that came on our block, and she was with the Republican Party, and somebody up the block was following her, and their kids were spitting at her, and she thought it was rain. And then she timed it, and she says, this is happening every so many seconds. She turned around, and she caught 2 boys following her that were spitting on her. I guess that part of the block didn't like Republicans. Hey, people are people. God made us all. Let's get along. Think of the church volunteering. You say, no, the church has plenty of money. No, our church has a Good Samaritan group where they go out and they buy, because ShopRite is in most neighborhoods, they buy ShopRite food cards. And if a person's hitting upon bad times, like maybe not all their medication's covered, and they need to take a certain medication after an operation at the hospital, and they don't have that super gold plan in their retirement package that they got, they have to pay for it. So guess what? You either die and not take your medication and eat, or you take your medication and somebody else helps you, like the church will with ShopRite cards, or something else. Some of them just have funds where I know somebody that went to one church and they didn't help her. She went to a church of another denomination that she didn't belong to, and they got her the refrigerator she wanted. So that's interesting too. Another way of volunteering is acts of kindness. You say, what's an act of kindness? It can be just about anything. Paul McCartney just gave a great concert, and from what I understand, it was free. I don't know what free means when they said they had funds, but any funds they did collect were going to a charity group. So anybody that does anything like that, that could be collecting $100, $500, $1,000 a head and more, and just gives their time freely, I think that's wonderful. And I still consider it a charitable thing. When they don't collect the money themselves, they're giving it to somebody else, some other worthy cause. So that's admirable. Then you have the people that are in the choir at church, and they give a lot of time. They practice. People that give plays for their group, their volunteer group. They don't get paid. They're putting on these fantastic plays. They do Shakespeare in the park. I think this is a wonderful thing, and I think if that ever dies, a big part of the culture of the city will die. And there's these concerts that they have in I know they had them in, I forget the name, the park where I lived in Brooklyn, Park Slope. I couldn't think of the park. Park Slope, they have them over here. They have the grandstand. I think this is a great thing that they do too, and I love to see things like this. I don't actually go. I don't get into crowds anymore. I have my own things that I look out for myself, so I don't get into this stuff. I actually never did. You know, when I loved music and I loved getting out there, that's when I should have gone, but then I didn't know about all the free concerts. Now that I know about it, I'm not too keen on just going out just for a concert. There is a person that I know that works seasonally, and they don't know what to do the rest of the year. I said, why don't you volunteer and carry your business cards with you? That's the best thing you could do in the world. I'll do something for you free, work for the senior citizen centers. They're always looking for people to volunteer, and you'd be surprised. Now, somebody asked me to do something. And I said, she doesn't have the money for the calligraphy job. So, knowing ahead of time she had asked what the price would be, I said, it's free, especially for who you're going to do it for. So she wrote a beautiful card. She gave me a beautiful friendship bookmark. And then she gave me this beautiful Brillo plate. And you can't see all of it, but it's an older sibling with the newborn sibling. And I don't know if they can see that. But anyway, that's what she gave me. And I was never expecting anything. I was just expecting friendship, companionship. We sat down, we looked at a few DVDs, but volunteer. You'd be surprised how things come out in your nice benefit in the end. Hello, Toastmasters.
Thank you very, very much, John. Very, very nice. Okay. And I want to let everybody know now that I appreciate our volunteers here at CTV. Some do things that are astronomical. The lights you made, your hands are on so many things in this show. Were you with us the whole 14 and a half years, or did you?
No, I haven't been here the whole time.
You've made up for it, though.
I have.
We appreciate it. In the second show, they won't see you here because you'll be you'll be directing the show next time.
I'll be directing the show next time.
Oh boy. Okay. Okay. Well, you've done that before, haven't you? When
Yes, I
Isaac couldn't
have.
get. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. All right. Rachel Weiss is our next speaker, and Rachel just changed her speech information, so bear with us. That's a no-no. Try to get. I packed my bag the day before around noontime, and we can make whatever adjustments we can make if I go into the computer and look at it again before we show up here. So nice. She came in and sat down. She said, I'm changing my title. Okay. All right. So Rachel is doing, what number was it you changed the manual to?
It's the technical presentations.
No, I got that part, but what's
Number 3.
number 3? Oh, the technical presentations advanced manual. Oh, I had the number 3 here. Okay. And it's, let's see, now I can do it. You're going to talk about a subject to a non-technical audience. Is that correct?
Right, technical subject to non-technical audience.
Yeah, I shouldn't write fast because I jumble everything. At any rate, so that your title isn't the same, or it's the same title?
Same title.
Oh, the title, that's good. That's safe, isn't it? Oh, I'm interested in this one too, that's right. Let's all welcome Rachel Weiss.
Well, thank you, Fran.
Yeah.
October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Cybersecurity is something that all of us need to be aware of and kind of take a little bit of a time to step back and look at things. I get about 500 emails a day. Just to give you an idea, I work for United Parcel Service, and I am their lead cybersecurity analyst, and I'm dealing with vulnerabilities. Big technical words. That's why this is a technical speech. But I took a snapshot of one picture of the emails that come into my mailbox. I'm just going to ask Peter to put that up on the screen so you can see there's a lot of emails in there. We're going to focus in on just a couple of emails. Some of them look very innocuous. You know, they look like they're coming from a friend or a business. And so I have a search engine, and the search engine kind of flags some of those. So Peter, if we can go to the next slide. Well, that's a little bit too big. What you'd see is over on the left side, the person it's coming from is Sarah. But there's a big red X next to it saying, watch out, that might not be from who you think it's coming from. And then the third one down is something coming from Federal Express, FedEx. And as I just said, I work for United Parcel Service. I'm not expecting anything from FedEx. So I said that might be a good email to look at to give this speech. If we go to the next slide, hopefully you can see that. It's been flagged as possibly a phishing. Yes, not the kind of phishing where you're going to reel someone in a flounder for dinner, but to reel someone in to trick them. And so whether you're using a laptop or a notebook or a cell phone, you want to be able to look at that address of where that message is coming from. we can come back to me, Peter. So when you're looking at your cell phone, there's usually in the address space something says details. So you want to go in and expand on those details. Same thing if you're using a tablet. The tablet's going to come in and you want to click on that details. If you're using your laptop or a desktop, you want to take your mouse and highlight that from that address that's coming from someone, and it's going to give you more details as to who they are. If you did that on this email from Federal Express, you'd see it's going to be Federal Express _ phonytelecom.com. Phonytelecom.com, that's not Federal Express. But they had Federal Express in the beginning of it with a dot. So Federal Express dot phony telecom, it is phony. But the email itself, if you looked at it, has a real Federal Express logo on it. It has real information that looks valid, and then a click here button. I don't want you to be fooled. That's why I'm saying, when you get that email, and it looks like it might be from a friend, or it might be from a legitimate business, look at the details. The details are going to reveal a lot of things. Also, if you look at that box that they want you to click on, if we can go back to that, Peter. See that box down at the bottom? It's in purple. Federal Express colors are purple. If you highlight that, either at the bottom of your browser window, if it's a cell phone or a tablet, it'll highlight what's inside of that box. Or if it's on your desktop or laptop and you put your mouse over it, it'll come and give you the details of what's in there. There are a lot of programs also that are there to help you. If we go to the next one, you'll see that the next email, right at the very top, when I open it up, gives me this big yellow or orange box saying, be careful with this message. It's known to be spam. No, it's not canned ham. But it might as well be, because it's not good for you. It's something that is trying to lure you in. It's trying to bring you into a site or to capture information about you that you don't really want to share. But they do it in such a way that it lures you in. That's why I said it's phishing. It's luring you in. We can come back to the table. It's luring you in with a sense of comfort that really shouldn't be comfortable. So when you're getting those emails, when you're getting those, hey, I just saw something, and click on it, well, maybe it's not something that you really want to click on. If it's an email that's coming in, Sarah's my daughter, and it's like, Sarah normally has a different kind of email address. You want to look at that and say, is that really ladybug.gmail.com? And you're seeing that it's not, then it's probably not from her. If you're looking at this FedEx, and it's not fedex.com, but fedex.phonytelecom.com, it's phony. Don't give them information. If you accidentally click on something, close the browser window. If that email is something that you know isn't good, delete it. Don't even leave it around to think about. If your email provider gives you the ability to weed out spam, turn on the spam filter. A lot of the email programs are able to use some intelligence to be able to filter out those emails. Put them in a separate email list. If a message comes in and doesn't have a subject, it's probably not worth your time looking at it. No subject is there to intrigue you because we're curious in nature. And we're going to click on that email to see what it's about because there is no subject. And if you're sending an email, make sure the email you're sending does have a subject. Make sure that the person that's receiving the email knows it's from you, and the wording in the subject is something that will be something that you'd say. If you're forwarding an email, make sure that you put in some details into there why it's being forwarded to you. I like to bring up a real email that was sent at UPS to us talking about our expense system. And they wanted to have a feedback as to what the expenses were about and how the expenses are being filled out. Do you know 50% of the people thought that that was a fake email? They had to send out another email to say, this is really something that we want to do. And yes, we really want your information. And yes, this is a valid query. We need to be mindful of what's coming in. And we need to take proper care that what's coming in is legitimate. So take the time. Use your mouse to hover over who it's coming from. Look at the details. Remember, there's no such thing as a free lunch. And if it's too good to be true, it probably is. In review, let's go back and look at a couple of emails again. Peter, if you could bring up the last slide. Official message from JP Chase Bank. Do you think the bank is going to send you something with all bold and triple exclamation points on it? No. That's a false email. Confirmation needed. Look at that. Hi, Rachel.A.Weiss. Do you think someone's going to talk to me like that? Probably not. Right? Rachel Weiss, we need your confirmation, please. And how about IRA, 401k rollover, physical gold with IRS loophole? Do you think the IRS is going to allow any loopholes? They want all the money they can get from you. So think about what's being said. Think about where it's coming from. Take a moment to hover over that or look at the details before you click. Thank you.
Very interesting, Rachel. And it's funny because I got involved with something a few weeks ago, and I can't give you names, but it happened within our own district of Toastmasters.
Yes.
And I got an email asking me to do this man a personal favor, and it was something I didn't understand. Usually then I call Peter from one end of the house to the other, phone, and he said, it doesn't sound right to me. So I called this man, and I said, did you send me asking me to do something because he wanted me to go and buy something and it was going to cost me money? He
Right.
said, I don't know what you're talking about. So then he called back a couple of days later. 5 other people in the district called and said they got the same thing I did. So he is now working on it. But Peter just says if you don't understand it, that's what the delete is all about.
That's what the delete's all about.
Because if you want me,
Right.
now you was that your daughter's real email? Because if you are, she better change it.
No, that wasn't her real email.
Okay, I figured you wouldn't do that, but yeah, it's too hard to think of. That's a cute name, though, Ladybug. Cute name. Thank you very much, Rachel. I see you over there, Kevin.
I see you over there, Fran.
Yeah, we saw you at gymnastics falling on the floor to get over and fix our banner. Thank you very much.
It's all about working, regardless of where you are, behind the scenes or in front of the camera.
I know, but you're prettier in front of the camera. All right, Kevin Thompson has been part of our world for years and years and years, right? I don't even remember. Oh, yes, I was sitting in on your first club over there in New Jersey, I guess when I was district governor. Nick and I came, and you were one of the only men. It's a whole nurses group in the hospital, and Mr. Big Shot was sitting against the wall. So I've known you. What year was that? Do you remember?
Oh, no, it's a long time ago, though.
Well, I've been around a long time. Okay, Kevin, you're doing speech number 6 in the basic manual, vocal variety. You have 6 minutes. Lucy Kahn is your evaluator. And, no, yes, Lucy is. Oh, I get the privilege of evaluating you on the next show.
Oh, I'm excited.
Well, we didn't have that many people coming, so I really had to. That's one for the gift.
Just wait till you hear that speech, too. But this speech is going to be of special interest to someone
Well,
like you.
I'll give out your title. It's Are Women Treated Differently and Why? Kevin Thompson.
Fellow Toastmasters, guests, and of course, our TV audience. Do you think that women are treated differently? I do. So let's take a look at that for a minute. When I was a little boy, and I've probably told you this before, so I've had the pleasure of being a member of 5 living generations in my family. So there was my great-great-grandmother, my great-grandmother, my grandmother, my mother, and me. And those ladies had a tremendous impact on my life. One of the things that they taught me was something that I think is missing in today's world. Do you know what that is? Manners. What happened to people's manners? My great-grandmother, my grandmother, and mother instilled in me that as a young man, your role is to hold the door open for the lady, to help her with her packages. And those are things, oh, and of course, get to give a seat to a lady on the subway or on the bus. Those are things that you don't see happen on a regular basis, but it was something that was part of my everyday life. So that instilled in me that there was a need, there was a requirement. In fact, there was a position of respect that you gave a woman. So why was that then and this now? Why is it that women are treated differently? But it's not for a good reason. Why is it that we've lost the idea of manners? Why is it that we have allowed this place of honor that we gave women to be eroded away like so much rust on a car? Women should be treated differently. But that does not mean that they should not be respected, that they should not be heard, that they should not be valued. And as a man, I'm here to tell you, and I'm speaking not to the women in the audience now, I'm speaking to the men. Did you have a mother? Did you have a sister? Do you have a significant other or someone that you're very close to from the opposite sex? Why then, and if you value them, why then would you allow things like equal pay for equal work to be an issue? Why then would you not give your seat up to a lady on the bus or the train? Why then would you not hold the door open for a lady? And I ask these things of you because as a man who values the position that these women have had in your life, would you not, in your absence, be thankful for someone doing the exact same things that I'm telling you now? If the answer is yes, then you need to change your position. You need to change the things that you do. You need to have a shift in your behavior. Our culture, today's culture, has changed. Women are not valued. Women are told not to be heard. Women are treated as second-class citizens, and the question is, sometimes you don't even think that they're human. And how could that be right? How could you, as a man, stand for anyone to treat your mother, your sister, or your significant other that way. If you value them, then you need to step up. You need to point out when you see something that is wrong happening, when you see manners not being displayed correctly, when you see that a woman is not being treated fairly, you need to step up. You need to let your voice be heard. You need to step up and say, no. No, I'm not going to stand for that. Because guess what? That could be your mother. That could be your sister. That could be your significant other. And if you don't do that, if you don't stand up, if you allow that to continue to happen, then what are we as a community? What are we as a country? What are we as a nation? What are you as a man? Madam Toastmaster.
Wow. Very nice, Kevin. A lot of food for thought in that speech,
Yes,
huh?
powerful.
Very, very, very. Wow. Very, very interesting. Well done, too. Very
Well done.
Now we're up to our evaluation portion of the meeting, and Linda Isaacs will be evaluating my speech, what to do when you have gas. So, Linda, be kind.
Well, it's a little intimidating to be asked to evaluate somebody who's been doing speeches for about 3 times longer than I've even been in Toastmasters. But regardless, when I saw the title, I was expecting something very, very different from what we heard. I had images of making jokes about whether Fran was actually full of hot air or not in my evaluation. But I'm pleased to report that the speech was not about what I thought it would be. And in fact, the suspense actually helped me quite a bit to get engaged in the speech. I wondered, when is she going to reveal the connection between gas and getting rid of the disposable items she needed to get rid of? I thought that this speech gave us a lot of information on how to properly dispose of an item, and I know that that's a common problem for all of us. I have a bunch of electronic waste I need to figure out how to get rid of as we speak. Given that it was a speech to inform, I would have preferred that Fran gave us the information about what was going to happen to the Freon. But on the other hand, she had someone on the stage with her who gave us that information at the end. So our curiosity was relieved. The only practical suggestion I have really is considering having the person next to you on stage be the one to introduce you. There's someone else at the desk. And so rather than having to introduce yourself, get them to do it. Other than that, I felt it was a great demonstration of how curiosity is useful in life, and I really appreciated Fran's doggedness in coming up with the answer, not only how to get rid of the freezer, but what happens to the Freon. Fran?
Thank you very much. If you'll give my manual to Song for the next show, please. Okay. All right. And Rachel, you're evaluating Sue's speech next, okay?
All right. So Sue Brooks, excellent job. This is part of our Pathways. So she gave this speech a couple of months ago, and I was her evaluator. With Pathways, the speech is given a second time and incorporate the things that came from the evaluation. The same evaluator is coming back, so you have consistency. So we have the speech, it's been tweaked, given again with the same evaluator. I think the clarity of this speech was far superior to the previous. You had good connectors to take you to the visual aids. You had the visual aids so that the audience, who may not be familiar with sewing, understands what muslin is, or understands what, this paper is, right? The tissue paper. So we had a good vocal variety, as always. Did a great job there. You had some good eye contact, a little bit of frustration, I think, with the visual aids and the lectern. More practice with that would help overcome those little bit of stumbles. Again, very appropriate gestures this time, helping us understand the difference between hand stitch and machine stitch. of the cat attacking the paper. All great gestures to really draw us in. And you gave the information about sewing to the audience that may have no clue how those dresses came about that we pick off the racks. Overall, you did a phenomenal job of taking the evaluation from last time and incorporating it into this time. Being able to bring the audience closer in, and I thank you.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Very, very good. Our next speaker was Joan Marizio, A+ for volunteers, and Paul Paradise was doing that evaluation.
Thank you.
How are you, Paul? Okay.
Fine, thanks. All right, well, Joan's speech was about A+ for volunteers, and Joan gave a terrific speech. I mean, she brought so many different aspects of volunteers. I'm going to run through a few of them. One was for the volunteer fire department, auxiliary police, person I think was volunteering in a shelter. Political volunteering I found was very, very interesting, where people were spitting at this poor woman. She actually thought it was raining. I thought that was a very interesting anecdote. Volunteers at the church, a Good Samaritan, bringing medications. Acts of kindness. I remember the Paul McCartney example. And a person that she personally encouraged, who was a volunteer, and I think she gave Joan something in return, which I thought was a very, very nice touch. And at the end, I think Fran offered thanks to all of us here for being volunteers here. Was there something that Joan could have done differently? I think she implied kind of like a call to action for all of us, which I thought was very, very nice. Perhaps she could have been a little bit stronger in that, but that's the only criticism I had of what was otherwise a wonderful speech. Thanks, Joan.
Paul, appreciate it. Now, Sue's doing a lot of walking today, isn't she?
Yes.
Well, you don't have to walk this afternoon. You won't be here for the second show later. But anyway, Sue is going to evaluate your speech. That's safe, isn't it? Sue Brooks.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And Rachel, what a great speech on bringing our attention to Cybersecurity Awareness Month and your role as a security officer at UPS. I think you did a great job with the project objectives dealing with a highly technical subject to a non-technical audience. I happen to have an intermediate knowledge of the topic, and I'm constantly learning. I review videos on lynda.com to continue to increase my knowledge as things change in the world and security measures become more stringent and threats are more prevalent out there. I think you did a great job showing us various graphics to demonstrate what you might see in the emails, to hone in on the Federal Express logo and then the purple box at the bottom. Excellent examples, a good pace, totally suitable to a non-technical audience. The only thing I wish you could have done slightly differently, Rachel, was at the end. You were saying in summation, and I thought you were going to wrap it up in the next 5 seconds after you gave us your summary of the bullet points, but you went on for another minute or so. So that's one thing you could possibly work on, please, is when you say you're going to conclude, really conclude. Overall, a great job with the project objectives and helping us to become more aware about all those threats in cyberspace. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you very much, Sue. All right, and Kevin was evaluated by Lucy Kahn. And Lucy, the title was, Are Women Treated Differently and Why? Lucy Kahn.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmaster, Madam Toastmaster, and viewing audience, and especially Kevin. Kevin, I like your title, and you start with a question on why and are women treated differently and why. And I like the way you told about yourself when you were a young boy, about your family and how your family treated women in the past and how women treated now and currently. You learn how to be a great man and how to be a respectful man, and you also have good manners for all the women. You also have your vocal variety and gesture. You did a great vocal variety, and you change your voice as you get to your point. And I like the way you do it, and I really understand why we really need women to be treated nicely at this time while they have treated the women in the past, because we really want to be respected and be treated like queen and princesses and not being treated as servant. So very powerful speech, and looking forward to hear from you on your next speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucy. And now we go into the fun part of the program, table topics.
Table topics.
Table topics, yes. All right. I have 4 people down here, and I think we have plenty of time. Joan, you're the first one, please.
She's on her way.
Is she now?
Yes.
All right. Should I start asking it now? Okay, Joan, you can listen as you're walking in the dark. I can't see where you are anyway. So, Joan Maurizio, in your opinion, what is Staten Island's best tourist attraction? Joan Maurizio.
Are you kidding? All of them. I'm not going to pick out any one of them, but what shocked me when I saw the papers one day, they said, people get on the ferry and they look at the Statue of Liberty and they can't wait to come back on the return trip. And there is a half-hour wait. Well, when I went, there used to be a half-hour wait. I don't know what the wait is now, but there's so much to see. And I remember when I was going to work, the 3.5 years or so, they had a booth there that had maps and all sorts of great things. I said, people, get off the ferry. Go look and see what we have. And they didn't care. They just, this is the highlight. The highlight was the Statue of Liberty with the torch. And I can't believe they just didn't expand their horizons, because right off the ferry, not too far away, is Snug Harbor, where I volunteered for a while. So, unfortunately, people miss out on a lot. There's so many wonderful things to see, even if they just take a helicopter ride and take a picture hovering over us to see how much greenery we have in parks. Great question. Thank you.
That's Joan. I should have had Sue come on for the first question. I'm sorry, Sue. You should have roller skates when you see the agenda. I send it out ahead of time. You know, and if you see, no, but I should be more careful about putting you back to back. All right, Sue, when should we say no? Sue Brooks.
Madam Toastmaster, when should we say no? Wow, lots of times. But specifically, I'm going to hone in on when people try to impinge upon your time. Time is very precious, and we're the kind of people where we are quick to volunteer and quick to do this, and we want to please people. But one of the things I've learned recently is it is okay to say no. If you feel you cannot successfully complete the assignment or the request or whatever it is that's being asked of you, you could say no and give a reason. I'm busy at work. I'm overwhelmed at home. No, but perhaps you can ask Rachel. Sorry, Rachel. No, but perhaps you can ask Fran. Give the person another resource, another person perhaps they can count on. Give them options. Or do your best to protect your time, because it would be inappropriate for you to say yes if you know you cannot successfully complete the assignment in the given time. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Very nice answer, Sue. All right, now we have the newest member of our Smedley Speakers Advance Club, Song Ramasa.
Correct.
I knew I'd get it. We only met you a few weeks ago at Smedley's, and we're very happy to have you as a member of that club. So, Song. Oh, I should have just shut up. You attended our, see, I do these like right after the meeting, so I forget what I had. You attended our last meeting of the Smedley Speakers Toastmasters Club and happily surprised us all when you put your dues check on the table and said you wanted to join. What was it that made you join on the spot? Song.
There are 2 reasons why I joined Toastmasters right away. First of all, Staten Island Toastmasters officers were very kind, so I felt welcome. Second of all, joining Toastmasters was my 25-year-old wish, because I wanted to be a good public speaker. But past 2 decades, I've lived several different cities, and I gathered information all the time about Toastmasters, but I couldn't join due to family and job commitment. Here I am. I'm ready to have fun, in improving my public speaking skills. Thank you.
Okay, and you let me know if you want to do speech next time. Because
Of course, I like to do it.
Well, I hope you get your new member kit because John did pay your dues the next day. So you should have your new kit, and here's the lady who's going to probably guide you when you come in. Come early the next time, November 1st. And if you have any questions, can I give her your email?
Yes, we can give
Why
that.
don't you advise her? And when I get into Pathways, as soon as I finish what I'm doing, then this is Rachel Weiss, and she's one of the ambassadors of the Pathways. So I'll give you her. Well, you can give it to her at the end of
I'll
the show.
give it to her at the end of the show.
All right?
I appreciate it. Thank you again.
Yeah, once you learn it, you can teach the rest of our club. Everybody's sort of afraid of it here, but we will survive.
Well,
Thank you.
Fran, I do want to acknowledge the fact that you are celebrating your 30th year with Toastmasters.
Yes, today.
That's this month. And I've learned so
happened-
much from you.
It happened so fast. 30 years. I can't believe this.
It goes like
Well,
that.
this month is your 10th year.
Yes.
So, see, I was a Toastmaster 20 years before you even thought about it.
Yeah.
And you're a good part of my life and my family here. So,
Well, thank you.
don't we appreciate each other, Rachel?
We do.
I love Toastmasters. I really do. And the people we meet. But there's one more person on my list. Kevin Thompson.
I think he's still in
Kevin,
the,
let him out,
he's
Peter.
still in the booth.
I know, he's doing graphic.
I was trying to give us a little bit of a segue there.
That was a wonderful segue. I wish Kevin would come. Kevin, I
Here
have
he
a beautiful
comes.
question for you. I think I read this to you over the phone.
Yep.
Kevin, it's a lovely question for a gentleman like you.
Well, thank you. I'm here. We have 30 seconds. Go.
Kevin, what do you think Victoria's secret is, and why won't she tell? Kevin Thompson.
A nice lady never tells her secret, and I'm going to keep it one. Thank you, Fran.
Yeah, meet your time.
10 seconds.
We're out of time.
Oh, okay. He's gone.
Yes.
Oh, so glad he gave an answer. I was looking for a much different answer. Anyway, we'll see you all next time on Toastmasters in the Community. Don't they do something in the control room? Because the clock
Well,
is out, gone.
Yeah, but Kevin was doing the graphics, so